What's up everybody, Teancum here with Sew Yeah Quilting. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how you make a zippered ruffled bag. But before we get started, we're going to do a couple close-up shots of these bags. So now that we've seen our bag, let's dive right on into the cutting instructions. As you see in front of me, I've already gone ahead and pre-cut my fabrics down. They're super easy measurements. This right here is 7.5 by 10 inches long, and I've got two pieces of this, as you can see. My next piece is 3.5 inches by 14 inches long. The next one will be 3.5 by 10 inches, 4.5 by 10 inches, and this one right here is a 7.5 by 10 inch piece. Also, I've got a coordinating zipper that we'll be using towards the end. What I'm going to do first though is I'm going to take my 7.5 by 10 inch pieces and I'm going to put them aside. So I'm going to move my zipper as well. And the very first thing that we're going to do is start with our 3.5 by 14 inch piece, and we're going to fold this piece directly in half. And what I'm going to do is take this over to my iron and iron this down flat. That way it stays flat together. I'm going to take this over to my iron. And now I have this iron down flat. What our next step is we gotta go over to our sewing machine and lengthen our stitch length as far as we can get it. So on my sewing machine here, I can go up to 6 millimeter. And the reason why we're doing this is how we're gonna create our ruffled effect. I'm gonna take it over to the sewing machine. I'm gonna sew down about 1/8 of an inch from the edge, and then from that 1/8 of an inch, I'm gonna sew another 1/4 inch off, and I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. And what I want to do is I want to leave a tail at the end, so I'm going to cut it off. And I'm going to show you in the camera here. I've got a tail end here, and we got a tail end there. You want to make sure you got those tail ends because it'll help us achieve what we need it to do. So off of that 1/8 of an inch, I'm going to sew another 1/4 of an inch. And again, I want to leave that tail end, so I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to cut it. I'm going to take you over to this other camera here, that way we can see what I'm doing. And what I'm going to end up doing here is I'm going to separate my strings. So now what I'm going to do, now that I have my strings separate, I'm going to just take one of my strings, threads, and I'm going to start pulling it, which will start making ruffles, as you can see here. The reason why I sewed in two places is because sometimes when we're doing this, our threads can break, and that way we have a nice backup. I'm going to pull this in just a little bit, and then we're going to help our ruffle go down towards the middle here. I'm going to just take it, start moving it on down. I'm going to use both sides strings here to make sure I get it even. And then I want this to measure at 10 inches, so I'm really close here, so I'm going to pull a little bit more. Okay, now what our next step is, we're going to come over here and we're going to grab our body of our fabric, which is our 4.5 by 10 inch piece, and we're going to sew down one of our ruffle sides onto each end. That way, once we have it all sewed down, we can straighten out our ruffles so it looks exactly how we want it to look. So I'm going to just take it over to our sewing machine, and we have to remember to change our stitch width back down to normal, which is about 2.5. And then I'm going to do the same to the other side. I'm going to sew it down. And once this is all sewn down, we can start positioning our ruffles where we want them. So I'm going to now try to even out these ruffles so they're evenly spaced all the way down. And you just kind of play with it until you get it to how you want it to look. So now that I got it to how I want it to lay down, I'm going to take my next piece, which this is the 3.5 by 10 inch piece. I'm going to lay it on top of the ruffle right sides together and sew a 1/4 inch seam all the way down. So as you can see in here, I still got my basting seam inside of my ruffles and it's visible. All we have to do now is take our seam ripper. If I can find, oh, there it is. We're gonna just take our seam ripper here and we're gonna pull out this seam now, which I'm gonna just break it in one spot and then go back. Now I'm going to take this over to our ironing board and iron everything flat and open. Just like that. Now that we have the front of our bag pieced, it's time to pull out our backing and our lining. So this right here is my backing and my 2 linings and our zipper, which this is just a normal YKK zipper. This one is a 14-inch zipper. And what we're going to do is we're going to lay down the zipper right sides together where the teeth of the zipper are down towards the bag on our pieced side. Then we're going to take one of our linings and we're going to lay it down on top of the zipper and the front of the bag. Just to make sure I stay straight, I'm going to take some Wonder Clips here and I'm going to clip everything together. We're going to take this over to the sewing machine and we're going to just let the 1/4 inch foot right up against the side of the zipper. And we're going to want to remember to do a back stitch here, so forward and backwards there. Now that we have these 2 pieces sewn together, what we're going to do is we're going to open them up, press them back, press them down, just finger pressing is fine, and we're going to take our outer side or the piece side that we just did, lay it on top of the backing fabric, and we're going to take our lining fabric and lay it on top of the lining fabric on the other side, making sure our top edges are all together here. Again, I'm going to take out my Wonder Clips and we're going to repeat this process one last time. So we're going to just take it over to our sewing machine with a 1/4 inch seam. So now that we've sewn all of our pieces together, what we're going to want to do is we're going to open this up and we're going to take one lining and one front and put it together just like this. Flatten that all the way out. And what I'm going to do just as a decorative stitch is right along the top here where the zipper is, I'm going to put like a 1/8 inch seam all the way down. That way I can just hold everything down on top of it. It looks nice on this project. But I'm going to take my iron real quick and just iron down my seam a little bit. Then on over to the sewing machine. So I'm going to just bring it over here. I'm going to do that to both sides. So now that we have it at this stage, what we're going to do is we're going to put the back and the front together and both the linings together, right sides together. Just like this. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to start a little bit more than halfway on our lining fabric. I'm going to go sew all the way around and leave about a 3 to 4 inch hole. That way we can pull everything through. We want to make sure our zipper is pulled in towards the inside. If not, we'll sew the zipper outside the bag and then that won't do us any good. So now that I have the zipper on the outside, or sorry, on the inside, I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine and start sewing around. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck my zippers down and we're going to just sew right over the top of these zippers. And just for some extra strength, I'm going to go back and forth a couple of times. And we're going to continue sewing. So now we should have sewn all the way around except for about a 3 inch hole here. And what we're going to do now is turn everything through this hole. And the reason why, oh, I didn't make that hole big enough, so let me take out a couple of those stitches. The reason why we got to make sure that zipper's on the inside is if not we would have just sewn the zipper on the outside on top of. It's the only way to get through the bag. So we're going to have to unzip the bag. And then we're going to pull everything through. But while I have it in this stage, I'm going to cut off my zipper tabs here. You're going to use a normal regular pair of scissors. And now we're going to turn this whole project through. And then I'm going to make sure that all my corners are poked out. And now where the hole is in the lining of our bag, I'm just going to turn it over and do a little 1/8 inch seam all the way down, just to seal off that hole. And now all we have to do is tuck the lining inside the bag. And just like that, your project is finished. This is a super fun and easy project to make. It makes a great little bag, good for the purse, or even if you make a really small one, it's great for a little change purse. And if you've liked this video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and don't be afraid to share it with your friends. As always, we're going to leave instructions on how to make this in the description below. My name's Teancum, teach you how to sew like a pro. We'll see you here next week at Sew Yeah Quilting.